All right, buckle up, everyone, because today we are diving deep into the kind of family drama that would make even Shakespeare blush.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, we're talking wedding bells, simmering resentments, and a whole lot of tangled history.
My favorite.
Exactly. And this one comes straight from an online forum post titled AITA for calling out my sister's wedding drama.mp4.
Okay, so right off the bat, we've got conflict.
Oh, absolutely. The listener's sister, Cassie, is about to get married.
The classic setup.
Right. But there's a twist. Cassie's demanding that her fiancé uninvite his ex from the wedding because she's jealous.
Oh boy, here we go.
And to make matters even juicier, Cassie apparently pulled some serious shenanigans at the listener's own wedding 6 years ago.
Wait, so there's history here.
Yep, and Cassie never even apologized.
Oh, that's going to add some fuel to the fire.
So the question is, would you apologize to Cassie knowing all of this? Today, we're going to unpack this situation, exploring the family dynamics, the conflicts, and the tricky choices our listener has to make.
Sounds like a classic case of golden child versus the other sibling.
It totally is. The post lays out this backstory where Cassie has always been the adored one, the one who could do no wrong.
Ah, the golden child.
Right, and the listener always felt like she was in Cassie's shadow, never quite measuring up to their parents' expectations.
That's such a common dynamic, and it can create so much resentment.
Oh, tons, and it often stems from parents unintentionally playing favorites.
Even subtle favoritism can have a huge impact.
You're right, the golden child might develop a sense of entitlement, while the other sibling can feel inadequate and struggle to assert themselves.
Exactly. It sets the stage for a whole lot of future conflict.
And boy, did the conflict erupt at the listener's wedding 6 years ago.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, picture this, Cassie, fueled by a little too much champagne,
Uh-oh.
picks a fight with the maid of honor, storms out in a flood of tears,
Classic.
and blames the listener for abandoning her for a man.
Wow. Talk about making it all about herself.
Right. It's incredible. Not only did she disrupt the listener's big day, but she never even apologized for it.
And that lack of accountability is really damaging.
Absolutely. It just reinforces the idea that Cassie's actions have no consequences.
And it leaves the listener feeling completely invalidated.
Like her feelings don't even matter.
Exactly.
So fast forward 6 years, and now it's Cassie's turn to plan a wedding.
The tables have turned.
Right, but guess what? She's turned into a full-blown bridezilla.
No surprise there.
She wants everything to be absolutely perfect, which is pretty typical, I guess.
Yeah, that need for control and perfectionism is common in golden children.
Makes sense. They're used to getting their way.
And they can really struggle when things don't go according to plan.
So here's where the drama really explodes. Cassie finds out that her fiancé's ex will be at the wedding.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which is totally normal, right? I mean, she's the mother of his 8-month-old son, who's also the ring bearer.
Of course, it would be strange if she wasn't there.
Right. But Cassie completely loses it, demanding that her fiancé uninvite his ex.
Oh, wow. So it's not even about the ex, really.
Exactly. It's about Cassie's own insecurities and her need to be the center of attention.
She's projecting her own unresolved issues onto this situation.
Like she can't handle the thought of someone else sharing the spotlight.
Exactly.
So Cassie calls up the listener, expecting her to jump on this the ex bandwagon.
Yeah.
To her credit, the listener tries to reason with Cassie calmly.
She's trying to be the voice of reason.
She is. She explains that it's completely unreasonable to exclude the mother of the ring bearer.
Especially when she's just there to support her child.
Right. But Cassie does not take the news well at all.
I can imagine.
She unleashes this verbal tornado, accusing the listener of being unsupportive and ruining her dream wedding.
Oh, the drama.
And that's when the listener snaps.
Ooh, I've been waiting for this.
She reminds Cassie of how she single-handedly ruined the listener's wedding 6 years ago with her selfish behavior.
She's calling her out.
Yep, and she basically tells Cassie that maybe she's just getting a taste of her own medicine.
Wow, that's a game changer.
It is. We're finally seeing the listener break free from this passive role she's always played.
She's standing up for herself.
Exactly. It's this raw, emotional response fueled by years of pent-up frustration.
I bet.
And you can bet the fallout is explosive.
Can't wait to hear what happens next. And you know what this reminds me of?
Oh, lay it on me.
It's like watching those nature documentaries where the lion pride has that hierarchy.
Oh, yeah, you mean like the dominant female?
Exactly. And the others have to fall in line or face the consequences.
You're saying Cassie's the alpha lioness in this family.
Well, she's definitely trying to be, and the parents are enabling it.
Oh, they are so in her corner on this one.
It's almost as if they expect the listener to constantly smooth things over for Cassie.
Right, like it's her job to manage Cassie's emotions.
Exactly, and that kind of dynamic can be so draining.
And it completely disregards the listener's feelings.
It sends the message that Cassie's needs are more important.
It's like they're saying, you just gotta deal with it. You know how she gets.
Ugh, that phrase.
Right. It makes my skin crawl.
It's classic enabling behavior.
And it just perpetuates the cycle.
Exactly. Cassie never learns to take responsibility for her actions.
And the listener is left feeling resentful and unheard.
It's a recipe for disaster.
But here's a glimmer of hope.
Oh, tell me.
Remember Sarah, the maid of honor, who was on the receiving end of Cassie's meltdown at the listener's wedding?
Oh, yeah, she saw it firsthand.
She's got the listener's back on this one.
Good for her.
She thinks Cassie's getting exactly what she deserves.
You know, I can't help but agree with her a little bit.
I know, right? It's like, finally, a little bit of karma.
It's satisfying to see someone calling Cassie out on her behavior.
It is, and Sarah's support gives the listener some much-needed validation.
Because let's be honest, when you're stuck in a dysfunctional family dynamic, it can be hard to trust your own perceptions.
Totally, you start to question your own sanity.
Exactly. So having someone outside the family validate your feelings can be incredibly empowering.
Like, wait, maybe I'm not the crazy one after all.
Exactly. And speaking of validation,
Ooh, tell me more.
this is where things get interesting.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Jake's mom reaches out to the listener.
Wait, what?
You heard that right? Jake's mom calls the listener to thank her for standing up to Cassie.
Okay, now this is juicy.
It turns out that Cassie has been giving Jake and his entire family a hard time, too.
Shocker.
I know, right? She's making demands, throwing tantrums, and generally making everyone walk on eggshells around her.
So it's not just a pre-wedding meltdown.
Nope, it's a pattern of behavior.
Which honestly makes me feel a little better for the listener.
Me too. It means it's not all in her head.
It means Cassie has a history of this kind of behavior.
Exactly. And this new information is crucial because it reframes the entire situation.
Right. It suggests that there might be something deeper going on here.
Potentially some narcissistic tendencies. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. The need for control, the lack of empathy, the manipulation.
It all adds up.
So everyone's starting to see Cassie's true colors.
Well, almost everyone.
Of course, Cassie's not thrilled about this newfound awareness.
I can only imagine her reaction.
Oh, she is furious, especially with Jake's mom for siding with the listener.
So what does she do?
She issues an ultimatum.
Ooh, spicy.
She tells Jake to get his family in line or she'll call off the wedding.
Oh, classic manipulation.
Right. She's trying to control everyone and everything.
It's called triangulation.
Oh, tell me more about that.
It's when someone tries to control the flow of information and pit people against each other.
So she's trying to isolate the listener and make her the bad guy.
Exactly, hoping that everyone will pressure her into apologizing.
But as we all know, there are always multiple sides to every story.
And just when you think things can't get any more complicated,
Don't tell me.
Jake himself calls the listener.
No way. What does he say?
He begs her to apologize to Cassie.
To keep the peace.
Exactly. He's desperate to salvage the wedding plans and avoid further drama.
Poor Jake. He's caught in the crossfire.
He is, and this is where the listener's dilemma becomes incredibly relatable.
Because what do you do in that situation?
It's a heart-wrenching choice.
Do you sacrifice your own needs and apologize to appease your sister?
Or do you stand firm and risk further conflict, potentially even damaging the relationship irrevocably?
It's like she's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't.
Exactly. There's no easy answer here.
Okay, so where do we even begin to untangle this mess?
Well, I think the first thing to acknowledge is that our listener is in a really tough spot.
Oh, absolutely. It's like she's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly. On the one hand, she wants to support her sister and keep the peace.
Which is totally understandable. It's her sister's wedding.
Right. But on the other hand, she's been hurt and manipulated by Cassie in the past.
And apologizing would feel like betraying herself.
Exactly. It would be like saying that Cassie's behavior is okay.
And that her feelings don't matter.
Which is not true. Her feelings are absolutely valid.
So how do you help someone navigate this kind of dilemma?
I think the key is to focus on long-term consequences.
Okay, so let's play out both scenarios.
Let's do it.
What happens if the listener apologizes?
Well, it might temporarily smooth things over.
Right, maybe Cassie calms down, the wedding goes on as planned.
But, and this is the important part, it reinforces the unhealthy dynamic.
Meaning?
It teaches Cassie that she can act however she wants without any consequences.
Oh, I see, because everyone will just bend over backwards to appease her.
Exactly, and that sets a dangerous precedent for the future.
So the listener might end up feeling resentful and taken advantage of.
Exactly, and the cycle will just continue.
Okay, so what about the other option? What if the listener stands her ground?
Well, it's definitely the riskier path.
In what way?
There's a good chance it'll cause a major blow-up.
Oh yeah, Cassie's not going to be happy.
It could even impact the wedding, potentially leading to a postponement or even a cancellation.
Wow, that's a lot to consider.
It is, but it's important to remember that sometimes short-term pain can lead to long-term gain.
So in this case, the pain would be the potential conflict.
Right, but the gain could be a shift in the family dynamic.
You're saying that standing up to Cassie might actually be the wake-up call she needs.
It's possible it might force her to confront her own behavior and start taking responsibility for her actions.
And it would empower the listener to break free from this pattern of enabling.
Exactly. It would be a huge step towards creating healthier boundaries.
But let's be realistic. Standing up to a golden child is not easy.
Oh, absolutely not, especially when the parents are on their side.
It can feel like you're fighting an uphill battle.
It can, and that's why it's so important for the listener to have support.
Oh, you mean like Sarah and Jake's mom?
Exactly. They can provide validation and remind her that she's not alone in this.
It's like having a cheerleading squad in your corner.
It is, because let's face it, dealing with family drama can be incredibly isolating.
It can make you question your own sanity.
Exactly. So having people who believe you and support you is crucial.
Okay, so let's say the listener decides to go the apology route.
All right, let's talk strategy.
How can she apologize without completely caving and betraying herself?
The key is to set boundaries within the apology.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Instead of a blanket, "I'm sorry,"
Yeah.
she could say something like, "I'm sorry if my words came across harshly, but I was hurt by your reaction, and I think it's important to consider everyone's feelings, including Jake's ex."
I like that it acknowledges Cassie's feelings while still asserting her own perspective.
It's a way of saying, "I'm not okay with your behavior, but I'm willing to move forward."
But it doesn't condone Cassie's action.
Exactly. It's a balanced approach.
Okay, now let's say the listener decides to stand firm.
What kind of game plan do we need for that?
Well, she's going to need a serious support system.
Oh, for sure.
Sarah and Jake's mom are already on board.
Great. They can be her allies.
And maybe she can even talk to a therapist.
That's always a good idea, especially when you're dealing with family dynamics.
It can provide an objective perspective and help her develop coping strategies.
Exactly, because this is going to be a tough road.
It's not going to be easy to break free from this pattern.
But it's possible.
It's about reclaiming her voice and setting healthy boundaries.
Exactly, and it's about recognizing her own worth.
Which is something that's been missing in this dynamic for a long time.
The listener has been putting everyone else's needs before her own.
And it's time for that to change.
It is. It's time for her to prioritize her own well-being.
So, dear listener, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this.
This isn't about winning or losing.
It's about honoring yourself.
And making choices that align with your values.
It's about recognizing that you deserve respect.
And that your feelings matter.
Family is complicated, there's no doubt about that.
But it's within that complexity that we find opportunities for growth.
So as you navigate this situation, remember to be kind to yourself.
And trust your instincts.
Because you are stronger than you think.
And you deserve to be happy.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride.
Until next time.
Keep those deep dives going and